We have finally made it to NFL Draft Week. The draft is just a mere few days away. We had to hop on and do one more final mock draft with trades. Welcome back to the Gridiron Drive. I am Anthony Correnti, joined as always by my co-host Peter Traina, and we got one last round one mock draft on deck before Thursday rolls around. Pete, how we feeling?
We're feeling great. Guest appearance from our two dogs here.
Shout out the pups.
Shout out the pups, ride or die. But no, man, this is one of my favorite weeks of the year. I get really amped up come, Tuesday. I'm jonesing, and then here we go. Let's get right into it, though. No more talking, no more discussing. It is draft week. Let's get going. How are we going to do this?
You're going to go ahead and take the odds. I'm going to take the evens. We are going to mix some trades maybe into this last mock draft. If we get a little nuts here with one last mock on deck before the actual thing kicks off. So Pete will take the odds. I'll take the evens. If we see some trades that might make sense, we'll talk through them. We won't try and burn a bunch of time on them. And we'll get through these top 32 picks as efficiently as we can. So without further ado, you're on the clock.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this easy. This pick has been talked about a lot. Let's just go Cam Ward and let's get it over with, right?
Yeah, not a lot more to talk about there. Cam Ward's on Fortnite talking about Treylon Burks as a top 4 wide receiver in the NFL.
You know what? I love that though. Good for him.
Ride for your guys.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a solid move. So yeah, Cam at 1 feels just about as locked in as what I'm going to do at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be floored if the Browns don't take Travis Hunter here at this point. Like it seems like they absolutely love him. Every time Andrew Barry talks, it gets a little more obvious. I know there's been some whispers about, he's going to probably major in wide receiver, minor in defensive back, it seems like now. Whatever the case may be, wide receiver, corner, still maybe the best player in the draft. We'll take Travis Hunter 2nd overall for the Cleveland Browns. And you're back on the clock with your New York Football Giants.
Yeah, I'd say Travis Hunter is definitely the best player in this draft, just because you could just, if he fails at one position, you could just try him at another, and it's like you drafted 2 players. You know what I mean? Like,
true. You really get a built-in second chance.
You get 2 cracks at it. It's incredible. But anyway, this is where the pundits say the draft begins, right? But not really, because I think this is a pretty easy pick. I think if I'm the Giants here, unless I'm getting blown away with trades, I'm drafting Abdul Carter here. I'm not thinking about Shedeur Sanders here. I think there's a lot of intel and smoke that are saying, Shedeur might, the Steelers was his floor, and that seems to be, falling apart, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Abdul Carter here if I'm the Giants, and I think that's where they have been leading.
I think they have to. I've said it before. You don't not take Abdul Carter because you have Kayvon Thibodeau. That doesn't stop you from taking a talent like Carter.
Yeah, and I think a little bird told me last year that the Giants were shopping Thibodeau during the draft with trying to trade with the Falcons, I believe. But I'm not going to give up my sources.
Hey, worst case, you have at least a year of 3 solid edges.
Yeah,
if they don't move on from Thibodeau, you have him, Brian Burns, and Abdul Carter. Yeah, not bad to have too many pass rushers.
And Kayvon, maybe he could put on a little bit of weight, and maybe he can kick inside for a couple plays. Now he's not going to be a defensive tackle, but you could run out there the so-called NASCAR package, just a skinny NASCAR package. But
yeah, for sure. I'm up at pick number 4 with the Pats. It is starting to feel like Will Campbell's a little written in ink here.
Mm-hmm.
So, got to protect Drake May. We know they signed Morgan Moses as a right tackle in free agency. You take Will Campbell. He's the best offensive lineman in the draft. You play him at left tackle for this year. Even if you don't see him as a long-term left tackle, you can move him over to right if you need to when Moses is done there. I know it was a 3-year deal, but you just got to protect Drake May. So you take a guy with some flexibility and some versatility up and down the line, and we'll take LSU's Will Campbell at pick number 4. You're up with the Jags at 5.
All right. So for a while, this pick was pretty chalk with Mason Graham. But there's been a little bit of banter here and there. I forgot who it was. Maybe it was Schefter. Maybe it was one of the big guys who said, hey, don't be surprised about Genty here. And now I'm kind of thinking, man, Genty would be fun there. But
It would.
this is what we think will happen, not what would be fun. I think they would probably like to trade out of this pick, honestly, and get some more capital. But I'm going to go with the chalk. I'm going to go with Mason Graham. I think he's a solid player. He's got a good floor. I'm not worried about his size. He played well in the Big Ten. Is it still called the Big Ten? Yeah, I just think he's a solid floor play, safe play. They just need good players. They didn't really address the defensive line in the free agency, so I think that's a solid pick for them.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like we've reached the point where we're trying to look for other things to pencil them in as, but like the Mason Graham fit has been so kind of obvious, I guess, the whole pre-draft process. Like they need an interior defensive lineman. He's the best one in the draft. Like it just feels almost too easy that we're starting to look for other stuff. Yeah.
New coach, new GM. They need to establish a culture there. All reports are he's a good culture guy, Harbaugh guy. I think it's a good fit.
I like it. All right, the Raiders are up at pick number 6. I know this is the hot Genty spot.
Mm-hmm. I think they're passing him.
I think so too, honestly. Like, I don't really buy that. Like, the longer it's gone on, the more I think it's, smoke to try and get somebody else to maybe come up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not convinced that they pull the trigger at pick 6 for him. So I think I'm going to pass on him here for now.
They desperately need a cornerback. They could probably use a wide receiver 1.
They do. I just they need a wide receiver 1, and I would take Tet.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the league is actually going to take Tet. I don't know. Everybody is so down on Tet McMillan these days.
Yeah.
It's kind of shocking. They do need a corner.
But Pete Carroll has been like a late round corner guy, though.
I know. It's an interesting spot. Let me ask you something. Is there any world where you think they take Membu?
Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable. I mean, I would. People have been touting them as having like an above average offensive line, and I think they're just okay. Like, and whenever you can add a solid tackle for a team like that with Geno Smith, he's not like mobile. He's more of a pocket passer. I'd be looking to add a tackle for sure.
Like they have Colton Miller at left tackle. They have DJ Glaze at right tackle. I know you like Colton Miller. But I don't know. You might just, they need a running back. I get it, but the class is so deep. I just have a hard time thinking that they're gonna take one here at 6.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Where they are in their team building, but
you know what? I'm gonna give him Armand Membu.
I like that.
I am. I'm gonna give him Membu. I'm not totally convinced that's what I think will happen, but he's a good enough player for it, and he gives you a guy that now you have Colton Miller on the left, you plug Membu in day 1 on the right, and you got 2 solid bookend tackles, and you can go get a running back later in the draft too.
I agree. All right, so I'm on the clock with the Jets. Jets.
I made it easy for you.
Did you though?
I don't know. Did I?
Man. I mean, I know the smoke has been either Warren or Membu, but man, Ted is right there for me.
I know.
And I know the Panthers have been a Jalen Walker team, but man, I feel like they could use a guy like Ted. So you'd be sniping them. I wonder if the Jets would be willing to move back a pick here if the Panthers were interested in wide receiver. But I think that if this is what I think will happen, I think if the Jets were here, they'd probably look at Warren. And I think that's a solid pick. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast that the Jets haven't had a tight end of noteworthiness since, I don't know,
Dustin Keller for like a year and a half.
He had a 2-year run, yeah. That's about it. So let's go with Tyler Warren. I think he's one of the blue chippers in this draft. That's a good pick for the Jets.
Yeah, you'd like Membu. but Tyler Warren at least gives you something that helps you both in the run and the pass game.
Can I give you a little hot take?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think I said this early on when we did our first mock. You drafted Warren over Loveland. At that point, I was like, man, I think Loveland is tight end 1. And I think there's a world where we come back to Loveland being tight end 1 draft-wise this year if the Jets don't take him here.
I like it. Spicy.
Clip that.
Clip it. All right, I'm up with the Carolina Panthers. I do think this could be a Tet spot, but there's a player that I keep coming back to for the Panthers. The Panthers need help on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like to get another guy for Bryce, obviously. But there's a guy who I just really believe in my heart of hearts is going top 10. And maybe he won't, but I just think he's going to. And I think it's Shamar Stewart. I'm going to take Shamar Stewart here for the Carolina Panthers, simply because if the NFL has taught us anything over the last however many years we've all been watching, they covet guys with size that test like freaks.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's easy to look at the box score and say, Stewart didn't produce. Stewart's disruptive, man. Like, he really is. The box score to me isn't indicative of what he is as a player. Obviously, you'd like him to finish more, but I think he's a real disruptor along the defensive line with size and athleticism that gives you some pretty incredible flexibility. And it's just hard for me to see a world where a guy with traits like that falls out of the top 10 in a league that tells us over and over again how much they covet those traits.
Yeah, I mean, you can't teach that, right?
Right.
A big cast, you can't teach that. Right? You can't teach size and speed, right?
So I'll take Shamar Stewart there, maybe as a mild surprise at pick number 8.
All right, so I'm up with the New Orleans Saints. I don't think
Shedeur coming off the board.
I don't think so, man.
Okay. All right.
I don't. I mean, I wouldn't. I think that they need just a hard reset, and I think they could honestly use this year, tank a little bit, maybe go after Nussmeier next year. I think isn't his dad on the staff? I believe he is.
I believe so, yeah.
So that leaves me with a couple options here. And man, oh man, oh man. I want to give them an offensive lineman. I think they've been they put a lot of money into that position, like draft capital recently, but hasn't really worked out. But I don't really see anybody here that's really calling my name here. I guess this could be a Kelvin Banks spot. Boy, oh boy. What is their cornerback depth like? They just lost
Paulson Adebo.
Yeah. Could this be the Barron spot? I don't want to give them it. PFF saying they need a running back or a wide receiver.
They've got
this could be the Tet spot.
I mean, it could be. It could be. Best case scenario, you pair him with Olave, and if Olave can't stay healthy, it's Olave insurance.
Yeah, Jalen Walker, that would be nice too. I'm gonna give them Ted. I think that Ted is gonna be a top 10 guy, and I think, like you said, Olave insurance. Yeah, they've had some guys, some sleepers, play wide receiver for them, but they need someone outside of Olave, and he's almost at like Tua level concussion protocol.
Yeah. The concussions are scary, and you also have Rashid Shaheed coming back off the hurt knee.
Mm-hmm.
You do need another wide receiver there. Like, wide receiver is a kind of a sneaky need. I don't hate it at all. I still quite like Tetero McMillan. Well, if it breaks this way, I think this is getting sprinted in. Yeah. I think if it breaks this way, Ben Johnson will just take Ashton Genty. And I don't in any way think that he wants DeAndre Swift to be like the focal point of that running game.
He already got rid of him once.
Exactly. He might be a piece of it there, but Genty gives you a real engine to that running game. Then you can mix in Swift from there. And then you have, Caleb, you got an offensive head coach. You got an offensive line that they spent some money and some draft capital in terms of trade to go build out. You got a couple wide receivers there. Still got Cole Kmet. Pretty good looking offense. So we'll take Ashton Genty, the reigning Heisman, Trophy. No, not Heisman
No,
Trophy
yeah.
winner. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about Travis Hunter.
In my
Yeah,
heart,
he's the Heisman in my heart. Yeah.
in my bank account, I wish. So I had a juicy like plus 2,000 on him to win a Heisman.
Wow, you know, in your head, you almost just think like Genty was so great, he had to, right? But
yeah.
yeah, Ashton Genty, pick 10 for the Chicago Bears.
And I think I messed up a little bit with pick 9 there. I think that would have been a good trade up opportunity for somebody to come up for Genty to leapfrog the Bears there.
Yeah.
I think that could have been an option there for the Saints. But they do actually have decent draft capital this year, so I don't think they need to trade back. All right, I'm on pick 11 here with the San Francisco 49ers. I think this is where the bank spot is. I think it's a scheme fit. I think they need some they're about to pay Purdy, right? I mean, you would think protect him. I think they're going to go in a different direction. They're probably, word was they were trying to shop Debo. Oh no, they got rid of Debo already. What's his
Brandon Ayuk.
Ayuk, yeah, they had him. That was like a rumor a little bit. So yeah, build the line. Shanahan will do Shanahan things, I guess, right? You gotta have faith in him.
And gives you flexibility too.
Mhm.
Like you can play Banks either inside or on the right side, and if he needs to be the heir apparent to Trent, you got some time.
Yeah, Trent's got to be pushing 40, right? I mean, he's
not getting any younger.
Yeah.
All right, the Cowboys are up at pick 12. Oh, let's see.
This would have been a fun Tet spot if he fell.
Yeah. I don't know. I might give him a wide receiver anyway.
Which wide receiver, Anthony?
Not the one I would take here, but the one I could see them taking here.
Yeah. Golden?
Yeah.
It makes sense. Because your guy, Ibuka, does a lot what CD does.
Yeah.
They're not the same player, but they probably play the same role.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give him Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas, to pair with CD. They need another wide receiver there. Can't just be CD Lamb.
All right. For me, I think this pick is pretty easy here. I'm on the clock. Pick 13 with the Miami Dolphins. This is a team I think desperately needs a hard reset. They got decimated in the secondary and free agency. They lost, they're trying to trade Ramsey. They lost their starting safety. I think this is between Malachi Starks, Jahdae Barron, and Will Johnson, depending on your cup of tea. And I'm going to give them Barron, I think.
Okay.
I think that's...
Yeah, I like that. Could play kind of all over the defensive backfield.
Yeah. I think this is the year that they decide. I would have went... I probably would have went Banks if he was there. But I'll give him Barron. That's a good fit.
All right. The Colts are up at pick 14. And I don't know. This has been like a trendy tight end spot.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm cautious about not just throwing Loveland in there to throw him in there. Because I wonder if, in terms of what we think will happen, if we're going to start playing a dangerous game of letting some guys fall too far.
Right.
So that being said, I'm going to give them Jalen Walker.
That's a Colts pick, though, right?
Yeah, I'm going to give them Jalen Walker. And whether they play him as a full-time edge or they move him around a little bit, let him play some linebacker, let him play some edge, I think they have a need at both. And, a tight end would be fun there. But when it really comes down to it, I think there's a good shot Jalen Walker goes even earlier than this. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to play the game of letting him fall too far.
Yeah.
And you're up at pick 15 with the Falcons.
All right. For me, the Falcons give me the best edge defender on the board. And I think for me, I'm going to go with Mike Green here. I think they just need a bully out there. They've been putting this off for what feels like 5 years. And I think this is the year that they actually draft an edge defender in the first round.
All right. Arizona Cardinals up at pick 16. Let's see. Could use a little help on the O-line.
Yeah.
But you know what? Cardinals...
This used to be a defensive line spot. But they're kind of okay at D-line. I mean, you could always add to it, like interior defensive line. I don't know if that's what you were looking at, or you're looking at cornerback. Okay,
I'm looking at corner.
I like that too.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering. They have Sean Murphy Bunting. They have Max Melton. They took in the second round last year.
And it's really just Bunting, and Melton is kind of a...
Yeah. I'm going to give them Will Johnson. I'm going to take Will Johnson there. All it takes is one team.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think Will's going in. I guess this would still qualify as the top half of round one. So we'll take Will Johnson for the Arizona Cardinals there.
All right. For me, I'm up with the Bengals here at pick 17, and they need some beef, either defensive or offensive line.
Some form of beef.
Yeah. I think. Do I want to give him Walter Nolan? Do I want to give him some certified beef with Kenneth Grant?
That's Angus beef.
Yeah, that's Angus. Walter's like Kobe steak. Is there any guards here?
You got Tyler Booker, unless you want to play the tackle convert to guard game. Gray Zabel.
I think I'll give him Walter Nolan. I think he's kind of lost a little steam recently, but I think this is a good spot for him. 17 right there, and he plugs a huge need for the Bengals.
I like that. 18 is the Seattle Seahawks. And you just got to give them an offensive lineman, right?
I think so.
I always come back to Gray Zabel on this spot.
Yeah.
Just because I think like Tyler Booker could be a chance there, but I feel like you have more flexibility with Zabel.
You do, for sure.
In terms of like, you can play him at guard, play tackle at North Dakota State. I think he could play center, honestly.
I think that's where he ends up, honestly.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Gray Zabel again for what feels like the 100th time for the Seahawks at pick 18.
I like that. For me, I'm up with the Buccaneers here at pick 19. I want to give him a defensive player. If Will Johnson was still there, I probably would have given him Johnson. Linebacker would be nice too. Jihad, he's got a shoulder injury, right? That people have been talking about. It seems to be he seems to be slipping a little bit.
Yeah, he's kind of like him there.
I do like him there. I think it's between Campbell and Ezeraku. And I think those are the two clear-cut options there. I'm gonna go with Campbell. I think he's a first-round pick.
Yeah, I do too. I like that. I think Bowles would like him there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a good fit for Bowles for sure.
Broncos are on the clock at pick 20. They got the Steelers breathing down their neck at 21. Is anybody trying to come up for Shedeur to get in front of the Steelers?
I really don't think it's the Giants. I know a lot of people link them with Shedeur. They've been linked to every quarterback, though. I think what they did last week, where they had a bunch of quarterbacks in, or they went to go visit quarterbacks, I think that was them saying, hey, these are our tier 2 quarterbacks. These are, day 2 quarterbacks. So I don't think they want to take that capital for day 1. But the Browns, that could be an option. But are they trading up into the first round with Deshaun Watson's contract still? Like, they cannot get out of that contract. So, man.
Yeah, and let's see. They have... trying to look at the Deshaun contract. All right, so they're on the hook for it this year. Next year, he hits free agency in 2027.
So what's the guaranteed money? Like $100 million? It's got to be close to
that. Yeah, it's there's no like easy out. You know what I mean? Because it's like he counts $36 million against the cap this year. And if they moved on, there's $167 million in dead cap. And he counts almost $81 million against the cap next year. And there's $131 million in dead cap. He's a free agent in 2027, and there's $50 million in dead cap.
Jeez. Yeah, that's tough, man. That is tough. That would be. I think it would be those teams though that would be coming up for a quarterback. Otherwise, is there any other team that would be like maybe the Saints?
Maybe.
Maybe
the same. We gave them Tet, right?
Yeah.
Tet earlier. They try and come back up for Shador and come away with Tet and Shador in round 1.
Yeah, what's the... This is pick 20 here. This is worth 850 points on the trade chart. So New Orleans' second-round pick is 500, and their third-round pick is 235. So that's 735. And then maybe they throw a little sweetener on there, from the next year's draft. Would you do that if you're New Orleans?
Yeah, so a 2 and a 3 and a future 2.
I'd say a future 2 or 3. Yeah, probably a 3.
I think I would do that if I was New Orleans.
All right, so let's do that.
So they're gonna call the Broncos are going back with the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Call it 40, 71,
and a third next year, right?
I think third next year.
I think that's good
for pick 20. All right, Saints are on the clock, and they're taking Shador.
I like that for the Saints.
Yeah, the Broncos probably wanted a running back there, but you could still get one.
Yeah.
You can still get one.
Exactly. That's the curse of this draft, to be a running back. The Steelers are on the clock, and I think they just they're kind of happy with this trade because I think that frees them up for the quarterback that they want to draft, which is Mr. Jalen Milroe.
All right, we got a QB run.
Yeah, we got a QB run.
It took us till the week of the draft, but we got a QB run.
Yeah. He got invited to the draft, so somebody told him, we're taking you, right? Unless he's just completely insane, right? Because otherwise, I wouldn't put myself through that.
Yeah, I agree. It did make me perk up like, that's interesting.
Otherwise, I would probably have him in the late second, early third type of range. But somebody gave him a guarantee, I would think. Otherwise, his agent is going to be fired.
Jalen Milroe's a Pittsburgh Steeler, and Aaron Rodgers just wandered off into the rainforest.
Yeah.
You'll love to see it. All right, I'm up at 22 for the Chargers. Run it in.
Yep.
Colston Loveland.
Oh, what about Kenneth Grant?
Oh, different Michigan guy.
Yeah, different Michigan man. Loveland, it makes sense though. They use tight ends. Yeah, they use tight ends like their slot receivers.
They both make sense.
Yeah.
I didn't really consider Kenneth Grant. I am going to take Loveland. But Kenneth Grant would also be a good fit there. So Colston Loveland, 22 to the Chargers. You're up at 23 for the Packers. Have fun. I feel like I'm always trying to give them a wide receiver, and I'm never happy with how it works out for me.
And I don't think they're going to take a wide receiver here. I just don't. That's just not how they operate.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give them an edge defender. I think they've kind of missed at that position recently in the draft, and I think that's where they want to kind of get back to. So I'm going to give them Ezraku. I think that's a solid player for them, and that's kind of how they operate in the first round.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I'm up at 24 with the Vikings. The Vikings find themselves in just a lovely position. You have such a good roster. You think you have the QB. They really did a good job in free agency. You can kind of just take whoever the best player on your board is. Honestly.
This is another spot, however, I think that unless somebody falls that they absolutely need, I think
trade out.
They only have 4 picks this draft.
Yeah.
But who's trading for what?
Well, I'm not saying it's a lock, but I've toyed with the idea of, Los Angeles taking a quarterback of the future at 26. Does one of those guys who didn't come up for Shador, are we talking about coming up for Dart now? We get 4 QBs in round 1.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I really don't. But man, I know the Vikings would love to get out of this pick. Maybe it would be tough for them, but maybe the Broncos come back into the first round to get Omarion Hampton.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, how much would you have to give up if you're the Broncos? They're playing some draft day chess here.
740 is the value on the trade chart. And the Broncos.
So they got pick 40 from the from the Saints. I also got 71 from the Saints.
So 40
and
is
a future pick.
Yeah, 40 is 500, and 71 will get you 235. That probably does it.
So I guess, can we give up 51? What's 51 and 71?
51 will get you, it's 390 plus 235, so we're talking 620.
Okay.
It's about 100 short. You got to give a sweetener in there. But I think the Vikings were dying to get out of this pick.
Yeah.
There's just nobody here that, like, this could be a nice Kenneth Grant spot, actually. But other than that, there's nobody here that's like, I need the Vikings to draft.
Yeah. Honestly, to me, if they don't trade out, it's Kenneth Grant or Malachi Starks.
Malachi Starks, he's falling a little bit, yeah.
It's just like a BPA thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might give them Malachi Starks just to avoid the... I think like there's a world where it exists if the Broncos could trade out with the Saints like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if they could keep 40 and only had to give up some other stuff, like you still end up moving up 11 spots in round 2. But despite that argument, I'm going to give them Malachi Starks here as maybe, the heir apparent to Harrison Smith whenever he eventually stops playing football, which seems like he's going to play forever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, good player, good value. You could just take the BPA. I'm going to give him Starks.
All right. I'm here with the Houston Texans at 25. I think they desperately need an offensive lineman. Is Josh Simmons okay? Is he healthy? Like,
if he is, I mean, it's a great value.
Yeah. So I'm looking at Josh Simmons or Tyler Booker, I think. They got rid of their left tackle, man. I feel like you need to get a tackle. So
I think I'd give them Simmons over.
Yeah. I'm gonna give them Simmons.
I like that. Rams are up. Let's see here. Could they be another tackle spot and take Josh Connerly?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have him falling out of round 1, but I'd still like Josh Connerly.
I do too. And I know, you want him to get stronger, but tackles, man, they go round 1.
They certainly do. And he's one of the ones that is actually projected to stay at tackle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to give them Josh Connerly. I like that fit.
Yeah.
Ravens are up at 27.
All right. The Ravens here. I want to give the Ravens a cornerback, I think. I want to give them a cornerback. Yeah. Actually, I feel like this guy is such a Raven, and I don't know why, but also Mikael Williams.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just see him as a Raven. Like, they're always going after those guys that fall.
Big strong edge. A big strong edge who could stop the run.
Yeah. Because the corners here, what do you got? Trey Amos, you got, and then it's like the injured guys. Well, there's a lot of smoke about Harrison being a first rounder.
Yeah, Amos is there, Morrison, Maxwell Hairston, Siobhan Ravel.
Man, I think I'm gonna give him Mikael Williams.
I like that.
Yeah, I think he's just a guy that they're not going to let fall any further. Like, that's just who they are, and it seems to work for them.
All right. Lions are up at pick 28. What do you got? What are you going to say?
This would have been, I think, where Williams went, regardless if the Ravens would take him.
Yeah. Instead, I'm going to take Tyler Booker. Tyler Booker feels like a Detroit Lion.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Just a punch you in the mouth offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give them Tyler Booker there on the interior offensive line. Commanders are up at 29. Do the thing. Come on. He's right there for you.
Yeah. I think it's either that or a cornerback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hampton, that would be fun. I would hate it as a Giants fan, but that's a good pick. That's a really nice bookend to their draft last year.
Yeah. Mario Hampton there is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Hampton in the backfield with Jaden Daniels. You have Terry McLaurin. You have Debo.
Yeah.
All right, Buffalo Bills are up on the clock at pick number 30.
I think, yeah, either edge or there's no way Kenneth Grant is lasting this long. We messed up.
Oh my
somewhere.
God, yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. All right, it's Kenneth Grant.
Right?
It's Kenneth Grant. Yeah, I'm sorry. He should have won earlier. I hate to give that kind of value to the Bills, honestly.
Well, if he didn't take him, then the Chiefs are running, sprinting to take him, I would say. So, all right. The Chiefs, they're another team that, where's the beef? They need an offensive line or defensive line. I just don't love any of the edge defenders here.
Yeah.
This could be like a Tyleik Williams spot, though.
It could be. I mean, Tyleik should go round 1. I don't know if he ultimately will, but he should.
Or, could they use a guy like Donovan Jackson? Is that a little early for him?
I mean, the way the offensive tackle board and the offensive line board in general kind of got picked over, I don't know if it's early. Like, he's not lasting much further past this, I don't think.
There's also Derek Harmon, too, who he's a stud, and I think he could sneak into round 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm between Harmon. I think James Pierce Jr. falls out of round 1.
I can see that.
It would be fun. It would have been fun to give the Chiefs Hampton. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to give him Harmon. I'm going to give him Derek Harmon. I think I think when all is said and done, he might be one of the better players in this draft.
That's fair. I like it. All right, pick 32 to close this thing out. The Philadelphia Eagles.
There are no Bulldogs worth drafting here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, who in general did we leave on the board for the Eagles to get great value with? Yeah, we didn't leave anybody egregious kicking around.
I think there's a little bit of smoke with Harrison going to them. I know that he's been projected in round 1. I don't think he's the third best corner in this draft, but with the injury concerns of some of the other guys, I think he would likely be the next one. And that would really bolster their secondary. They just re-signed their center, Cam Jerkins. He's highest paid center now. They could probably use a guard, though, right? They lost your boy.
They lost Mekhi Becton.
Becton, right? Did he sign anywhere?
San Diego.
Would
you take Donovan Jackson and play him at guard?
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles would do something like that, and they could afford to take a swing.
I think that might be what I do, honestly.
Yeah. I'm trying to look to see if there's anything like egregious here, any crazy value.
Would you take one of the wide receivers?
I was going to say, would they take Ibuka? Like, I would kill myself, but...
Yeah, I mean, I know you have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but improve on Jahan Dotson?
Yeah, man. I mean, he's a great player.
Tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am going to give him Ibuka. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. And as much as I hate them, they consistently make solid picks.
All right. Well, we've done it again. Every mock so far has been accurate. This one is no exception.
Oh yeah.
We've got a perfectly accurate first round mock here, complete with the New Orleans Saints coming back up for Shedeur Sanders, stopping his slide. We got a quarterback run there. No Jackson Dart. We didn't get him in.
Yeah.
Future New York Giant at the top of round 2.
Well, could be. I don't think so though. But we got a busy week coming up, right, Anthony? What are we doing this week?
We do. We got all types of stuff going on. We'll get this one out before the draft. We'll be on right after round 1 of the draft. I'm sure we'll get something out on the feed reacting to all the big stuff that happens in round 1. If by chance you're subscribed to the Rookie Big Board over with Matt Hicks, we'll be hanging out in the Discord on night 1 there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll be doing a live stream with Matt on day 2 for rounds 2 and 3, reacting to all types of stuff here. So plenty of content coming. The draft is here. Eat up all the juicy rumors you can get over the next couple days. Who cares if it's smoke season? We don't care. Take the news any way we could get it. We're only a couple days away from the draft kicking off, and we will be back late night Thursday after round 1's all done to get some reactions out on the feed. We will talk to you guys then.
Keep the drive alive, and don't forget to like and subscribe.